Hello, I'm Dennis Schwartz, Design Director for Showdown. Today we are going to talk about our design goals for some of the subtle and substantial game mechanics changing with our August launch. We will be touching on trait changes, reducing stalemates, as well as changes to our gunplay formula. Let us start easy. We are bringing back Witness as a regular trait for everyone to equip in a menu for 5 upgrade points. Witness allows you to see nearby dead hunters and recently deceased monsters in Darkside. We are reorganizing the existing trait categories for a more interesting mix of traits and how players can acquire them. No longer are there only regular and burn traits, instead some traits will get the burn or scarce attributes, or both. Scarce traits can only be found in the vault and cannot be equipped from the menu with upgrade points. Shadow and the returning Shadow Leap are both examples of scarce traits that are not burn traits and remain on your hunter until you defeat it or fail to extract safely. Shadow Leap has been adjusted to no longer work for leaping into meatheads as a balancing node. Most of our existing burn traits are now both burn and scarce traits, keeping them consistent with how they worked so far. Rare to find and short-lived, being consumed after they fulfilled their special purpose. However, we have adjusted some of their stack sizes. For example, you can now only keep a single instance of Death Cheat on your hunter at a time, while Remedy, Relentless and Rampage can still be held up to 3 times each. This leads us to our first newly modified trait, Necromancer. Necromancer is now a single-use burn trait with a stack size of 1, which costs 4 upgrade points. It also no longer drains your health when attempting to revive a downed teammate. What does this mean for solo hunters? Solo hunters using Necromancer receive a single restoration of all their health chunks as they get back up, but they can only attempt to get up a single time as Necromancer is now burned on use. The cooldown for self-revive has been reduced slightly as a balancing step. Over the last year, we have introduced more ways for players to get back into the fight after being downed. These changes have had a positive impact overall, but have also introduced many points of frustration and contributed to stalemate situations. Having reflected on your feedback and the available data, we are making adjustments to burning and revive mechanics to reduce stalemates and bring more decisive closure to player versus player fights. The previously mentioned adjustments to Necromancer sit at the heart of this change in direction and are complemented by a much faster burn rate to fully burn out a downed hunter. We appreciate and want to emphasize the play and counterplay of burning and choke effects. We now have choke bombs, beetles and bolts available for players for tactical use, but we are limiting the duration of choke clouds to half the previous duration. This is a deliberate change to reduce the 2 minutes of just waiting out the choke cloud before making the next counter move in the fight. We are aware of the controversy surrounding everything to do with reviving, restoring, burning, choking and generally stalling out the player versus player fights. Our core philosophy here is to provide mechanics for capitalizing on the advantage of taking down 1 or 2 members of an opposing team, but still have room for clutch counterplay and tactics to get your own team back in the fight without dragging out into overly long waiting games. As always, we ask you to keep an open mind to the changes and look forward to seeing how loadouts, tactics and fight times play out in a live environment, as well as survey opinions collected as we go forward. Moving on to gunplay topics, we are happy to announce that the centered crosshair will be available as the default setting for new players. A lowered crosshair option remains available for players who prefer or are more accustomed to that position. The lack of a centered crosshair has long been cited as a barrier to entry for players transitioning from other first-person shooters into Hunt. And with the August launch, it will now be available for them to consider trying Hunt again, as well as to more effectively onboard players joining us for the first time. We are applying a subtle drop to projectiles at longer distances based on ammo types and weapon characteristics such as action type and barrel lengths. At extreme ranges, players will now require a bit more skill, judgment and timing to land those perfect shots. While it becomes harder to hit the target range, we are also ensuring that any headshot will always be lethal at every range, making those kills even more rewarding. This notable change greatly mixes up weapon balance and the established meta, and we cannot be more excited for you to try all this out yourselves in August. While we expect speculation or opinions to run rampant with this news, can be assured, sentiment, data and surveys will as always be the key measures we look at when considering the best course of action. We will be back soon with more topics around our big August launch. Follow our social channels for new videos and updates. See you soon.